evening. This is Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo with the SCAA News for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013. On Friday, the long-awaited and much delayed Hornet variants commercial and brochure were yet again delayed, this time with much more information and communication from the CIG staff. One of the variants was holding up the patch and they decided to delay. They had already worked through the weekend the prior week and were not going to do it this time. They wanted to make sure that this one came out in a much better and much more controlled way. On Monday, we started to see why. They released an image that showed the old variant of the F7C against the new variant of the F7C, and the increase in detail is just amazing. At the same time, the next generation Aurora LN was not removed from the pledge store. It was still there this morning, and I don't believe I've seen an announcement on that. The brochure for the Aurora, however, did come out on Friday, and it was incredible. Much more detailed than the prior version, and it makes you really want to go out and get each one of them, except for the ES, that is. So today came, at midday Eastern Time. We saw on the RSI website all of the variants. You have 4 in all. The original F7C, the F7CS, F7CR, and F7C-M. So I'm not going to go over these. I'm going to save that for a in-depth look at the Hornet at some time in the future, but I'll just give you what the variants are. The F7CS Hornet Ghost is going to be the reconnaissance, it's going to be a stealth version. So it's going to be a much lighter ship. It's going to be all black. And essentially, if you want to get somewhere undetected, this is going to be the ship that you want to be in. I'm looking at the weight. It is the lightest of the Hornets. So it might also be one of the fastest of the Hornets. It looks like it has a slightly upgraded engine. I'm not sure about that. We'll have to look at that in the future. But it is definitely a stealth variant. The F7CR is akin to the E2C Hawkeye, or whatever its replacement is at this point in the U.S. Navy. It's a command and control airborne early warning, or in this case, baseborne early warning aircraft. It's got a dome where the actual cargo or ball turret would be, and I don't know what mission this will have in the future. I would have envisioned that being more of an explorer, but I guess I've got to read deeper into what the potential lore will have that ship doing in the future. If you watch the commercial, it's kick butt, and you're going to see the F7C-M. The F7C-M, the Super Hornet, is going to be a limited sale, meaning like the 350R, the M50, the Gladiator, the Retaliator, the Idris, and we can go on and on and on, the Caterpillar. This one's not going to be around for long. So it's going to be available through the weekend and up until the 28th next week. This one goes for $180 in a package called the Weekend Warrior Package. The package includes 5,000 UEC credits, a digital game soundtrack, digital star map, digital Squadron 42 manual, digital Star Citizen manual, beta and alpha access, Squadron 42 digital download, Star Citizen digital download, Model 2 Arclight sidearm, and 6 months insurance. There was a few minutes today when it was saying it was LTI, but it got corrected immediately this time, instead of like what happened with the Retaliator and the Gladiator. So that package is going to be limited for $180. To go over the other packages, I could do that at another time, or I'll put them up on the board here. But, you know, the original Hornet was $110. So if you look at the 300i being $55, $65, and $70, you're going to be getting an idea of how these are going to be priced out. The F7C remains at $110. The F7CS, the Ghost or Stealth version, $125. The F7CR Tracker version, $140. And the F7C-M Hornet, Super Hornet, is $165. Remember, you're not just paying for the ship, you're paying for all the upgrades that come with it, and the Super Hornet is armed to the tooth. That thing is going to be kick butt. I don't really have that much more for news today. I think the Hornet variants are going to be the big item, and this is going to be a pilot of how I'd like to do news in the future. If you have any questions at all, please send them to my email address at theaddictedgamer@gmail.com. If you want my Twitter, it's at StarCitizenAA. And I don't have a Facebook yet. I'm still looking for music for the lead-in and the lead-out. You see what I'm doing. And I would love to have user-submitted videos with the final one of my segments each show, which will be Confessions of a Star Citizen Addict. I have quite a number of written submissions that were on the thread in the subscribers den. I should probably open up a thread or just ask everybody who wants to put any kind of confessions of a Star Citizen Addict right into the fan site thread. Please just take a look at what's out there and get it to me any way you can. Well, that's all I got. I've got to go and start hitting F5 until that patch comes through. Thank you all for watching and listening, and I'll be back real soon. Bye. You have selected the Killian system. Killian is where young soldiers go to learn the art of warfare and where old soldiers return to fade away. For them and most other humans, it is the shining symbol of UEE military might. Located at the heart of the Empire, a single jump line away from Terra, and home to hundreds of military barracks, training facilities, shipyards, and support facilities. Killian's economy is based entirely on the massive military presence, with weapons, manufacturers, and ship designers flocking to the system to offer their wares. Between the shipyards at Naval Station MacArthur to the Marine headquarters on Corrin, Killian may be the safest place in the galaxy, if you're on the right side of the law. Killian itself is a white A-type main sequence star orbited by 14 planets. The discovery of Killian occurred early in man's expansion into the galaxy. Terraforming of green band planets began very early, as did the garrisoning of military forces here. While there was no specific plan to build out the system specifically as a military base, it naturally evolved from a forward base in the early days of exploration to the most important headquarters in the galaxy as power shifted towards the region of space surrounding Terra. Only the UEE Army continues to maintain their formal headquarters on Earth. The Navy and Marine top commanders now direct troop and ship movements from armored city bases on planets in the Killian system. As collateral development, Killian has generated a large civilian population and is fully represented in the UEE Senate. The Three Sisters. The first 3 planets in Killian are dwarf worlds known informally as the Three Sisters. The sisters travel close to the star and are essentially uninhabitable rocks. Limited metallurgical resources are mined on the smallest of the sisters, Killian 3. For the most part, the worldlets are an outlet for UEE weapons testing exercises. Their surfaces bear the scars of hundreds of years of antimatter blasts and railgun impacts. Magma. Killian 4 is the system's primary mining outpost. As the name, chosen by a particularly uninventive explorer, indicates, Killian is covered in superheated metals and features heavy volcanic activity. No land area on Magma is stable, so miners operate flying carryalls capable of jetting entire massive refinery complexes from place to place. MacArthur, home of UEE Navy headquarters and birthplace of the Bengal-class strike carrier. MacArthur, named after a famed Army general, of the previous millennium, in what Navy personnel choose to find an amusing irony, is home of the largest human Navy base in the galaxy. It's where tens of thousands of naval aviators train every year and where all major naval exercises are planned and coordinated. The planet is orbited by the countless rings of spatial moorings and dry dock facilities. The largest ships in the known universe, including the Bengal, are constructed in the space around MacArthur. As a result, MacArthur is a place where merchants can make a killing. On the legal side, merchants can bring in process doors, weapons components, and shield generators, and a myriad of other elements needed for constructing large warships. Those affiliated with the black market can also get rich on MacArthur, as the planet's population of lonely ship crews has a variety of appetites. The later categories should be warned, though, that there are more standing military patrols in the Killian system than there are anywhere this side of the Vandal line. Osha. Osha is a small terraformed world, home to many of the families and support personnel for the system's military population. It is a temperate world that has been highly constructed. Our colleges now dot the surface, providing homes for hundreds of thousands of husbands, wives, and children of the military personnel who are either assigned elsewhere in the system or deployed to distant stars. There is some profit to be made shipping to Osha, whose population generally seeks luxuries from the rest of human settled space. Keen. Slightly larger than Osha, Keen is another civilian world. Unlike Osha, Keen is the domain of military-aligned corporations and businesses. If a manufacturer has a military contract, you can bet it has a home office located somewhere on Keen. Manufacturers compete for factory slots on the world because an in-system factory allows one to be a much more efficient supplier. This means that regardless of resources, everything from toilet paper to starship bulkheads are manufactured here. Roberts Space Industries and Anvil Aerospace both maintain formal showrooms on Keen, which may be visited by civilians. Killian 8. Killian 8 is an ocean world with an open secret. It is highly toxic to the point of total inhospitality. What appears from orbit to be a tropical paradise is in fact an orb of high-density fluid consisting of water, ammonia, and more volatile liquids. No current spacesuit technology is capable of protecting a human on 8's surface, and even most starship hulls will dissolve with minimal contact. Corin, home of the UEE Marines. Corin is a deadly ice world that is used for Marine command, housing, and training. Dotted with icy tundras and craggy rock caves, Corin is technically outside the system's green band. The Marines maintain a massive underground base, but also require that all trainees survive a 6-month boot camp on the planet's surface. Marine units not in the field are engaged in constant war games here. Corin is one of the best protected worlds in the galaxy, with a Marine carrier preventing unauthorized access at all times. The best advice, do not approach. Outer planets. Killian 10 through Killian 14 are uninhabitable. 10 has a thin atmosphere and a dense mineral-rich surface. Metal rights to the planet are currently locked in an ongoing court battle, so only claim hoppers need apply. And the massive military in the region makes that an unappealing prospect for all but the boldest miners. Killian 11 is a gas giant which is used primarily for in-system fuel supply. Automated harvester platforms surround the planet, gathering resources for UEE shipyards. Killian 12, 13, and 14 are small, essentially dead worlds of little interest. Killian 13, sometimes called a haunted planet, does feature an impressive smoky quartz surface that looks like nothing else in the galaxy. Hello and welcome to the Hangar module patch 8. This is going to be a quick tour of things that are different from what I can see. Now, this is my workbench and I really need to go back. I don't remember the display being on. Over here, we're going to see the Aurora LN. And you can see that the models for the missiles have been added. And we're just going to step inside right now. And sit down just so I can get a look up on top. I like to use the third person to get a nicer look at it. So bear with me for just a second. All right. And let's just scroll out and up and here. Sorry. And there are the missiles on top of the Aurora LN. So that was a little bit different. Still a beautiful little spacecraft. Definitely not a match for the Hornet as we see in the commercial. So not much else seems to be different. I'm sorry, every time I get one of these ships, I just have to look around a little bit. Okay, next up, we're going to run over to the Connie. I'll meet you over there. So here we are under the Connie. Updated from patch 7, there's no longer this ET kind of glow that was underneath that seemed to be emanating from nowhere. But nonetheless, there was a glowing light underneath it. I heard there was something different inside the ship. Oh, they turned the lights back on. I guess there was enough negative feedback about the lights being off. Looks like they're dimmed in some places and on in others, but in the last patch, they were just out everywhere. Okay, just another thing that I found that was different on the Constellation. It seems that the lights have been turned off on the P-52 Merlin down below. You could still make it out ever so lightly, but its lights are off. And this will be the end of the Connie tour, and we'll head on over to something new. All right, we're going to go over to the table over here and check out some options on the ships that we have. I've got 3 that show up. The Avenger still does not show up in it, but I'm sure that that model is not completed. Still, the way I look at it, it's one of my favorites. Oh, look at this. We have an F7C-M Super Hornet in the hangar now. And I'm sitting over here playing with the different pieces of it. There's VTOL thrusters, neutron guns, same lasers that are on the top of the Constellation, and a big ass turret, the Mantis GT220. So that's just a slight look into what's going on with the Hangar mod as far as the configuration table goes. All right, we're coming around the corner over here and we're walking over towards the Anvil Aerospace F7C-M Super Hornet. She's a beauty, isn't she? I think the Gatling guns on top give it kind of a clown look, and then you grow to love them a little bit later. 2 neutron guns in the front, 2 huge laser cannons on the wings, 2 missile racks inside the leading edge of the wing roots. I think that's what you call them. Walking around just showing you the amazing detail work of this particular ship. I need to upgrade my RAM so I can get a little bit better frame rates in this game. I found that it helps a lot on the iMac that I play on. So as we whip around the side of this, I'm just showing off different pieces of it. And it's just got a beautiful silhouette. It really does look like a Hornet. I think this might even be a copy of a plane that was in one of the Wing Commanders. I remember something looking similar to this, but this thing is just incredibly gorgeous. Oh, it's not Wing Commander. This reminds me of something from Lex, a old TV show. But we're taking a look at the huge thruster in the back, and it's definitely directional controlled with flat panels that come over it, so you've got some thrust vectoring there. You've got 2 huge thrusters on top. I think those are for thrust vectoring also. And then you got 4 in the underneath area, under the turret, that swing down like a AV-8 Harrier does to make a vertical landing. We're looking at the silhouette on the other side at this point. And we're just walking around the nose, just giving everybody a look. 2 huge hydrogen scoops, one on either side, and it looks like smaller ones underneath. That's how it gets its range. 2 fans in the front, I think, for extracting fuel from a gas giant. Pulling down the ladder. Let's just go up it now. It's like any other spacecraft. It has a specific area you have to point at. So we're climbing up. Specific area you have to point at to hit the use button. And we're climbing into this really amazing cockpit. Now, mind you, anything that's in this like bluish color is a placeholder for what will be a heads-up display that will have different pieces of information that you can see. We're moving back into the second cockpit. So we're just trying to get a better view of it. This is the second cockpit. And we're going to just go back and see what else is inside here. Well, let's look at the cockpit some more. So in the rear, you could carry a friend, or if you're a bounty hunter, that's where you put your target that you've captured. There's controls for the person in the rear to fly the actual spacecraft if you need them to. And it has all the features of the front cockpit. I wonder if you'll be able to fly it from the back, because a lot of times in tandem seat aircraft, say it's set up like a trainer, like the Avenger, the pilot will actually sit in the back and the trainee will sit in the front. A lot of tandem seat biplanes are that way also. So we're just going to take a little bit more of a look. I like to look through the systems and scroll back and see what you find. There's a large area underneath it, free of anything. We've made it back to the 2 huge turrets, the turret with the 2 huge chain guns. We're in the ball turret. I'm trying to find the laser ball turret that's on the bottom, but I can't find the actual weapons in it. You got a view of the thruster on the right there. That's the vertical. Don't know what that is. Looks like a fan. But you can see the vertical thrusters on either side, on the left and right over there. There's 4 of them, and that's right on the midline of the aircraft, so it's probably balanced pretty well. Scrolling back more, we're in an engine scoop, I believe. And then we're going to see this huge thruster. This is just great detail work. Amazing. All right. Scrolling back. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I melted my 325A and my Aurora. I had 2 Aurora packages. I melted one of them. And by the time I was done, I think it wasn't much more than $60 to get the actual Super Hornet you have here in front of us. I bought the Weekend Warrior package because I wanted a 4th crew person. So now I have an LN package, an Avenger package, a Rear Admiral package, and the Weekend Warrior. And the only other spacecraft I own is the actual Gladiator, and that won't be in my hangar for a while. Oh, known bug. I don't know if it's been fixed, but if you get in the cockpit, the landing gear retracts for some reason. So the landing pads are gone. So you get an idea of how this thing looks just floating there. All right, so I'm not really doing a full-on review of the unit itself. I was just trying to get a view of the Hornet and give you all some updates on the hangar patch. So let's move on from here, and I'll meet you upstairs. All right, so we made it upstairs. We're running down the hallway, and we're going to go over to the next piece, which is the outfit changing station. I don't know what the technical term of it is, but over here we're going to look at the privateer outfit and see what our character looks like with hair. And here's the privateer model. And he doesn't have to be as aerodynamic and smooth on top as the fighter pilot. Let's take a look around the front. And there he is. Still looks a little bit old. I can't wait to see what the female characters look like. All right, that's what I got for you. I'll see you all next week. Thanks for watching. Don't think I ever really made a proper confession. So I was lucky enough to have grown up in a house with computers, as my father was a programmer, so we never had a shortage of new computers and, more importantly, new games. I don't remember when I first played Wing Commander game. I would have been quite young. What I do remember is the feeling of playing them. It was something that has stayed with me throughout my life and has contributed in no small part to many of my life choices. Then Space Sims kinda died down. Sure, X was around, and I loved it to bits, but it was a poor successor, riddled with bugs and with a learning curve that is more of a cliff than a hill. I played some Eve to fill the gap, and I really enjoyed it, but something was always missing. Then last year, I heard of a game like Wing Commander on a Kickstarter and found out it was by the man himself, Chris Roberts. Sadly, I was between jobs, so I could only back at the $60 level for a 300i and a green citizenship card. But it helped. I helped. I now find myself, at 23 years of age, employed full-time as a computer programmer at a games development studio in the UK, shoveling as much of my disposable and, due to some silly choices, some of my non-disposable income at the game. I am Arcbinder. I'm an addict. I believe in Chris Roberts, and I am proud to support the best damn space simulation ever.